It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Yeah, thank you. Hope you had a great weekend, long weekend. We are back, and just one of those mornings again where I say, where the heck do we start?
Yeah. And it's only going to go on throughout the day because SCOTUS added opinions for later this morning.
Yes.
So we're going to be making up for that big 4-day weekend we just took off. Thank you to Dan Mandis once again for hanging out with our audience. They love him, and he was here on Friday. So we're right back into the thick of it. And man, did it get thick.
Well, you know what? The interesting. There's so much to talk about, but since you brought up the Supreme Court and tariffs, the whole Greenland thing,
yeah.
Which again, we'll get into the minutia of that a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But what I thought was interesting is, you know, you and I talked about the Supreme Court looking at tariffs, and one of the things is what designates an emergency.
Yeah. Right.
And.
Yeah.
I don't know because it was when the president came out and announced tariffs because of this emergency in Greenland, where it was after that where the Supreme Court came out and said, okay, now I don't know, it could be a complete coincidence, but after that when it came out, okay, we're going to talk, you know, we're going to have opinions on Tuesday. And you and I talked about this entire thing. What designates an emergency?
Right.
And I don't know if the Supreme Court is going to designate what the parameters are in an emergency, or just say, or parse it depending on what tariff you're talking about, or just overall come out and say, look, it's a tax on the American public. You know, you can't do it, because I doubt that the Supreme Court is going to look and tell the executive branch. Tell the executive branch what an emergency is. I don't think they're going to define that. I don't believe that they believe that that's their role. Even the conservatives, the constructionists, because there's a difference, as we explained before.
Mm-hmm.
When they say it's conservatives versus liberals, no, it's more constructionists, originalists of the Constitution versus liberals. That's what it is. You really don't have a lot in the Supreme Court of conservatives saying, well, we don't care what the law is. We're just going to make the conservative argument like the left does, like, was it Sotomayor got caught, right, saying it, one time and went, oops, we're not supposed to say that. You and I always remember that back and forth. Oops, we're not supposed to do that.
She realized that she remembered she was being recorded when she was talking.
But when you look at it, the president has designated it as an emergency. How? We're not at war with Greenland, right?
Not yet. That could change at any minute.
But it's not. But it's not a trade war with Greenland.
No.
And I guess the question you would have to ask, and this would be for Congress to actually designate what an emergency is. I don't believe the Supreme Court will do that. But as we already know, we already have. There's been agreements, and we'll go through the specifics of it. I don't have it in front of me right now. You lay out the specifics of the legislation and treaties and agreements that we made with Greenland already. We can basically do whatever we want now with military bases. So what is the emergency that would designate that tariffs can go against European countries if they don't convince Greenland to do what they need to do? And also, it has not been explained to me satisfactorily, not even the entire thing of, well, since ice is melting, there are areas where, you know, that are open water. Well, the United States can go there. So I don't know what the emergency is in all of this to begin with. The White House has not explained it. And when you start talking about trade wars is one thing, But when you start talking about, as the president has, military action against a country where there is no threat of them attacking us in any way, the American people, independents, don't like that at all. Most conservatives don't like, well, you're not a conservative if you like it.
Yeah, right.
And so you look at it, it's like, well, it's valuable. Well, there's a lot of things that are valuable to the United States, but what
You
makes
can make a case for having a greater presence just about anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Militarily, if you're talking strategy, you can make that case, well, we should have a greater presence in Mexico or wherever.
Well, if we had Canada and we had Mexico, there'd be a huge buffer to the continental 48
states, 51 and 52.
So, but when I saw that, I went, did they look at that and say, okay, and was there more of an agreement? Because it came out on Friday that there must be a problem here with this. There must be disagreement on the entire tariff thing. The decision from the Supreme Court, it could be a split decision some way or parsing it out. Because why didn't they have a decision yet? And I would say it's because it's extremely complicated when you look, and I believe they're looking at 3 different types of tariffs.
Yes.
There. So to me, that is a much more, I think, complicated case than something else might be. I don't think that the Supreme Court will look at it and say, well, this isn't an emergency, because we don't know what an emergency is.
Well, that's
Congress
it.
has designated what is you want emergency powers. What defines an emergency? Well, is it whatever the president designates an emergency is, because Congress hasn't defined it? No, you would look at it and say, normally, it has to go to
and also
Congress.
the scope of an emergency, because you could say, well, you can designate an emergency, but it can't be an emergency with every country. Well, I don't know. What about during a pandemic in the first 2 weeks of, remember during the we're going to flatten the curve part of COVID when nobody knew what the hell was going on? That becomes an emergency situation, clearly. And, of course, the left took it and ran with it once we started learning as a species, oh, wait a minute, this may not be as bad as people once feared, but still, it makes the case for you can't define an emergency or the size of an emergency for the executive branch in a situation. The courts wouldn't be able to, because if the courts attempted to do that, if the high court attempted to do that, then basically what they would be saying is we have a place in the Situation Room and in the cabinet room, like liberal justices believe and liberal judges believe they do, and we can't set that precedent of saying, well, if we can control, if the executive branch can't do this, then they can't define what anything is, and they can't. We're going to take that authority away from them. Now, here's the thing with the tariff ruling, or rulings, or decisions. Half of me says, I really don't know that they'll do a broad authority ruling, and the other half of me says, I don't know how they don't. Because the discussion during the hearings across the board, across the entire political spectrum on the court, kept going back to, well, it's a tax. It's a tax. It's a tax. So on the authority ruling of, does the executive branch have the authority to impose a tax? I have to believe they've got to make some decision there, but that could be a scoped down ruling saying they can levy that tax temporarily, or I don't know. Again, this is why I believe it's taken so long for this to come back. There were a lot of people that believed after the hearing, oh, we'll see this before the beginning. We'll see a decision on this before January 1. And now we're past mid-January, And I don't even know if it's going to happen this morning. They put opinions on the calendar for this morning, but I'm not sure that it's going to happen then. And when it does, I have no idea what it looks like. Because, I have to believe that they make a decision at some level on taxing authority. That does not favor the administration, but I don't know how far that goes and how broad that is.
What I'm concerned with, because and this is because how Democrats could use it in the future, is if you have if you sit there and you say, if you can come out and say, because we all know, both sides agree that it is a tax on American companies, which some is passed on. What that exact amount is
absorbed
depends
by
on
the economy.
It's absorbed by the economy, but it's a tax on American companies, which then can be passed on to the consumer through higher prices.
Right.
And I forgot what the latest figure is, that the companies are eating some of it, whatever.
Right.
But nobody's arguing anymore.
But the importer pays it, and we know that.
Right. Now,
the
president's still out there saying the foreign countries pay for it.
Right. And his Treasury Secretary is still saying, no, they're
the
not.
opposite. And their attorneys are saying, no, they don't.
Right.
So that's the bizarre thing to begin with. But then again, does the court look at that and say, okay, even though they admit it, the president politically wishes to use it. Is this political, or is it really an emergency? By what the president has said. Look, we've said it before, and it was another weekend where I don't pay attention to we talk about what the president says, but I really don't pay attention that that's the direction that he's going in anything anymore. He's not reliable when he talks. He's only reliable when he does the behavior.
Right.
That his actions are what mean. So much of what the president says, even the left and even the right will jump on, and we're like, whatever, we'll see what he does.
We'll wait to see what he's going to do in this situation.
But when you look at it, it is a tax. When companies have to pay money to the government,
yeah,
right. And it's not. Remember, they didn't do anything. You can't sit there and say it's a penalty or a fine because the American companies didn't do anything.
Right.
So when the government takes money from them, it's a tax. Constitution's pretty clear on that, except what is an emergency that would allow them to do that. And I don't know what it is. But somebody said, you mean the president could simply say we're not going to trade with that country, but he can't say we're going to put a tariff on? Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I read the Constitution, yeah. He could stop trade completely, or he could say we're going to cut our imports from China in half.
Right. Look, you can put sanctions on countries and say we're not doing business with them at all.
That I believe is constitutional for the president. Everything that I see, that I've read and I've studied says, yes, he can do that. And people are, well, what do you mean? That's ridiculous. It may be ridiculous, but that's how it's laid out in the Constitution.
Right.
You may not like how it's laid out.
Right. And it may be part of their remedy if the administration doesn't get the decision they want from SCOTUS. I don't know.
No.
I have no idea where the president would go. Nobody does. And at times, including him.
Yeah.
Because he will actually, he's said it in the past. Well, we may have to do this. Well, we may have to do that. We may have to do this. I had someone close to me asking me over the weekend, well, but why Greenland? I said, well, look, it doesn't make sense, and you have to step back and wait to see what the final action is going to be. A lot of what he's saying doesn't make sense. Strategically, you can make a case, but you can make that case, again, get a map, a global map, and just bookmark any place on that global map and say we need a stronger presence here, and you could make that case. The Pentagon could make that case.
But the whole point is Greenland is not saying they object to that.
Right.
They're not saying we object
to a greater presence, right?
To a greater presence or more military bases. They're not objecting to that.
Right. Right.
And they haven't been, because that's the basic agreement that we've had with them for years.
The full-on takeover of Greenland is, I have no idea why you would want that.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. Due to safety concerns, many motor carriers have policies that limit or prohibit the use of cruise control. You should only use it in good driving conditions, during daylight hours, and on roads that have light traffic, few curves or hills, and a consistent speed limit. Never use cruise control when operating in adverse driving conditions, including wet, icy, or slippery roads, during rush hour in heavy traffic or on congested highways, at night, or when you're tired or fatigued. You want to be controlling and adjusting your speed as you drive instead of having to suddenly brake if you encounter an obstacle. In the case of a slippery road surface, you want to be able to slow your vehicle by not accelerating instead of using the brakes whenever possible. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yes, the new movie coming out, Hoosiers 2.0.
Yeah, I was saying to you during the break, don't we have to make a new movie and make it about football this time? Right?
Football, Indiana? Yeah, apparently they've earned it.
Go. All right.
First 16-0 team since Yale back when?
Yeah, 1894. 1894. When football was more like that magnetic football game that we played as kids. They just ran in whatever direction. Just go, when you get the ball, just run. It was more like rugby back then.
Yeah, when it was, interesting, one of the best football books I ever read was The Real All-Americans, about Pop Warner and how Native Americans were instrumental in bringing the passing game to football.
Yeah.
And they talked about, Yale and Harvard way back when.
Yeah.
And you know why football really was, why football came to be a sport and came to be a passion in college is because post-industrial revolution, you had many people believe that men were getting soft.
Yeah. Well, we may need to have to start a new sport then, because
that has to be
happening again.
That's got to be a lot rougher than football.
It's happening again.
But yeah, so the first
problem is that men want to play women's football all the time now.
So first 16-0 team. There's been many undefeated teams, but because of the playoffs, no team has gotten to 16
during the break. Yeah. You were correcting me because they went to a playoff system. What was it, a few years ago, whenever that was. And so why they did it back in 1894, we think it was just, you said that just wasn't as organized as it is now.
You played whenever you wanted to play or do whatever it was.
And there was no gambling surrounding it. So it was I bet there was. I bet there was.
And everybody stop asking me questions. I did not watch the Bills game the other day.
Yeah.
I did not watch the Bills game. And on their coach getting fired, Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
I really haven't watched. I only watched one full football game this year.
Yeah.
And that's when I went to see my Buffalo buddies.
Yeah.
At Buffalo Brothers back for the Philly game that they lost. I'm not the one to ask about it because I just really haven't paid as much attention to professional football. I didn't watch this weekend because I can't watch alone. And I was too busy to do other stuff. I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't watch. I really can't watch the Bills alone. I get. It's the same as my golf game. I get the rage of a serial killer directed at myself or at the football team.
Yeah. Yeah.
But golf was at myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming up on the show, Don Lemon goes to church.
Well, sort of. He was enthusiastic about going into the church, wasn't he?
Babylon B says Don Lemon bursts into flames when he walks through the
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Thanks so much for being here this morning. One other thing, I'm getting emails and I keep forgetting. Yes, I got to stop talking about my life. For some reason, people have an interest in it, and I have no idea why. But my kitty cat is fine.
Oh, all right, good.
So I probably mentioned it last week on the air that I'd take her to the cat hospital because of high calcium levels, which could indicate cancerous tumors. But they went through. She's fine.
All right,
she'll be okay. So my cat is okay.
Good.
My cat is okay. My football team sucks. And what else is new?
Yeah, Bills are looking for a coach. So.
Bills are looking for a coach. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Well, let's go to Minnesota. There, I'm reading a headline here. Anti-ICE mob storms Minnesota church. A mob of anti-ICE agitators stormed a church Sunday in St. Paul, Minnesota, interrupting a worship service after protesters claimed the pastor inside was affiliated with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Video shows agitators chanting "Justice for Renee Good" inside the sanctuary at City's church as the services began, raising concerns among law enforcement and religious leaders about protesters targeting houses of worship and escalating anti-ICE demonstrations across the Twin Cities. By the way, I think it's going to continue to get worse because the outside, agitators are now coming in. Don Lemon saying practicing his First Amendment rights. I got to say this. The first thought that came to my mind is that's the most ridiculous concept that he has brought up since, because most people would say, wait a minute now, that's got to be the most ridiculous one. Any idiot knows you don't have a First Amendment right in somebody else's church. How could it be that ridiculous? Well, remember when he did his show on CNN, he was asking the question to all the top aviation experts in the United States after the Malaysia plane disappeared over the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
He was asking whether it might have been taken down by sucked into a black hole.
Right.
And it was Mary Shivo who had to tell him in the nicest way.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, all right, do you have any clue about anything? Do you understand anything? But she said, well, no, even if it was a very small black hole, like the size of a pin, it would suck in the entire Earth and the solar system. So, no, it's not a black hole.
Yeah.
You idiot.
Yeah.
But sit there to claim everybody the one thing people know about. They know a lot about criminal law because there's so many law enforcement shows on, right?
Yes.
They know their Fifth Amendment right.
Right.
They know their First Amendment right.
Yeah.
But they know that their First Amendment right doesn't mean they can walk on inside a private property into your home and start screaming at you.
Right.
Everyone knows that.
Right.
Don Lemon's trying to sell that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that came out of it is the whole white supremacy thing. Let's go to Don Lemon first. Here we go. All right. This is some podcast that he did.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy.
Okay. Well, of course.
Yeah. You have to.
Okay.
You've got to get there, don't you? And then let's get to the one guy inside the church. This is actually with everything going on inside of the church. Listen to this one guy, the one protester. Here we go. All right, here we go.
All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No. Jesus would dine with immigrants. You do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Well, that went south
By
quickly.
the way, he's white.
Yeah. Right.
And, it really comes to something that you and I have talked about a lot, and I'll add him into it, the press so much has covered women in this, and you and I played last week a couple of women that were talking about, white supremacy and white guilt and all that.
Yeah.
And you and I have said, we go, 'cause you sit there and you look at it and you say, well, look, anybody, whatever your particular skin color is, whatever your ethnicity is, nobody looks back and says, well, because maybe somebody who shares my same skin color did this 150 years ago, that reflects on me.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think that way. Normal people don't think that way.
No.
People that don't have racist feelings in their heart and soul don't feel that way.
No.
A lot of the white guilt that you see out there is because these people are guilty because of their racist feelings.
Yeah.
So when you see some guy like that, a white guy screaming like that,
well, you can hear the rage in his voice.
right? He's doing virtue signaling because of the racist feelings he has held either now, continuously, or sometime in his life. You and I talked about this a long time ago. Why, we come up and go, no. Who was it last week that was that we played who was bringing up God in healthcare and screaming that that if you don't believe in nationalized healthcare or whatever,
Right.
you're truly not a Christian.
Yeah, which the left has done repeatedly over the years.
And that's one of the narratives coming out now. There are no laws, and if you believe there should be laws and we should enforce laws, then you're not a Christian, which
Right.
is
Yeah.
completely and totally
right.
Ridiculous. But when you and I talked about this a long time. Well, wait a minute, I'm against nationalized health care because I don't believe it's the most efficient way to do things. Got nothing to do with racism. It's I want better health care. I want health care to moderate in cost, and I want better health care, and competition does it. A monopoly doesn't do it. There's nothing, you may disagree with that. There's nothing racist in that comment.
Right.
It's simply, but why do they attach racism to everything? Where did this identity politics come from that is judging people by groups and not individuals? On one hand, they practice the identity politics of judging people by groups and not individuals, and then they scream about their own white guilt. Why? I mean, it's pretty obvious. If you believe in a system that segregates, then you're a racist.
Yeah. Right.
If you judge people by groups and not as an individual, you're a racist.
Yeah.
And so at the same time that they're screaming that you're wrong, I believe it's projection of their own feelings. They're actually the racist, and they prove it by endorsing, and this is 99.9% of the Democrats in Congress, they prove it by endorsing the identity politics that they practice every day, which again evolved into critical race theory, which is all whites are culturally racist, and therefore society, which they're culturally racist to the point where you can't change it. It's almost in their DNA. And therefore we must structure society under the umbrella that all whites are racist, and society must accept that and run society that all whites are racist and oppressors.
Well, in that short Don Lemon cut you just played, he virtue signals basically that he's a better Christian than these people, and then calls them racist, which isn't Christian-like at all. Well, so he makes a point and then demonstrates exactly why he's wrong in that point, all within a few seconds.
Well, it's interesting where I've seen it before. People, the Catholic Church is wrong because my Catholicism. Mm-hmm. Well, there isn't.
Yeah, right.
There isn't a my Catholicism, or a my Christianity.
Well, that's where I would have stopped them and said, whoa. What's this, Don, let me ask you. What's this Christianity that you practice? Tell me what that is. Because it's garbage here by Don Lemon, who's trying to remain relevant. That's what he's doing. You know, by the way, when the one guy's screaming about pastors and wearing suits at the church, Don Lemon's probably thinking, oh, man, I used to wear a suit for a living. It's the suits. That's the problem. I mean, it's just as ignorant as you can get, this entire thing. Because they think, again, they're winning. They think they're winning.
Well, I mean, they for example, they look at the one poll that was out there, which is being discussed. I think it was a YouGov poll that said, "Is ICE making Minneapolis safer?" And like 51% said no. What they didn't ask was, are the agitators making Minneapolis safer? What about, what is, when ICE is attempting to do their job, should you be interfering? Should you be interfering with law enforcement? And they hope, because one of the things I do believe is true, is that independents overwhelmingly wanted illegal immigrants returned to their home country.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want to see anything bad happening because of it.
Right. They don't want to see it play out. They don't want to see the reality of actual law enforcement.
They don't want to see the reality of it. And it's like, it's the same thing. It's obvious in the public. Oh, yeah. Well, we can cut the budget. You and I talked about this. The average person believes we can cut the budget 40%, but there isn't a majority that wishes to cut anything except foreign aid, and that's it. And they believe that you can cut the budget 40% by getting rid of foreign aid, and everything else, even the majority of Republicans, want an increase in all other government programs, maybe except defense, but all of the government social welfare programs, they want an increase in money. So we live in a society where there is a significant number of people that actually don't think things out.
No, we live in a 15-second society. If we can't get the news from TikTok in 15 seconds, sorry, we're scrolling down. We're going to keep scrolling. And we take 15 seconds of a story or one image from a story or one headline from a story. Far too many people are willfully ignorant by doing just that. They've got a computer in their hand and still get it wrong.
Yeah.
All the time. They have the answers. They have the opportunity to find the answer to anything and everything if they keep looking for it, if they have the will to search for it. They just don't take the time to do it. That's willfully ignorant because, sorry, it was longer than 15 seconds to explain. I see this image, and I'm going to say, well, blah, blah, blah. It was like the poll they did one time on flying, on airlines. It was something related to flying. They took a poll of all Americans. Do you think that the airports are blah, 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 or that late flights are good or bad, or the airlines are running it, whatever the question was? And I said, no, stop. Most Americans don't fly on a regular basis. Don't ask all Americans. Don't ask all Americans about what's going on in the Twin Cities or even in Minnesota, because most Americans don't live there. So whatever poll you've got is only going to be a snapshot of the moment when the emotion of the left is leading everything on the headlines that people see, including on social media. It's garbage.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's our Carly, Gary McNamara. So I went to the Babylon Bee to make sure I got the headline right. There it is. Don Lemon immediately bursts into flames upon entering church. And the other one, brutal here. Now, remember, the Babylon Bee is a Christian parody site.
Right. Yes.
Pentecostal church doesn't notice riot is occurring. And then, of
They
course,
have very lively services for those unfamiliar. Yeah,
and then this one, Pam Bondi promises to prosecute Minnesota rioters after she finishes releasing the Epstein files.
Wow. Yeah. By the way, I told you also during the break, this is the epitome of today's left in America. Busting into a church claiming moral high ground.
Yes.
Wow.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I guess winter's arriving all over the place this week, huh?
Well, apparently, we're looking forward to actually getting our 3 days of winter. The winter season will arrive Friday and be done by Monday, we think. But yeah, it could be.
We hope so.
Could be a bit sketchy this coming weekend. We hope it is. We hope the forecast is wrong, but everybody's forecast right now is the same, and it's looking like we might get a little bit of winter weather this weekend.
Darn, that might keep me from jury duty on Monday.
Oh no, you wouldn't want that.
No,
not at all.
It's a privilege.
It's a civic duty. It's you're proud to serve if seated. Guilty. Also, guilty as hell.
Yeah. Now I
wear a T-shirt. Not that says it doesn't say guilty. It says guilty as hell. Wow.
Since they have gone fully automated, where you fill out everything before you go in.
Right. You have your MAGA hat ready, yeah?
It is. No,
because you won't be able to get in the courthouse if you wear that. You won't be able to get in the courthouse.
No, after all the pardons, they think I'll be soft on. Prosecutors might think I'm soft on crime.
Exactly.
I wear my MAGA hat. No,
it could work against. It could work for you in two ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but the I filled out everything already, and it asked for your occupation, and and I'm honest. I put I'm a
judgmental talk show host,
nationally syndicated, conservative libertarian radio
freedom loving
talk show host, podcaster.
Yes,
as heard locally on WBAP. That means they know exactly who I am.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. And so every time I've done that, and I think it's been 4 times since they've been. Since you can do all your paperwork online before you go in, and every time I think one time they didn't let me know till Sunday, but the 3 times since that, the last 3 times I've known by Wednesday or Friday, by Friday that they don't want me, and because most I'm going to guess it's defense attorneys look at it and they go, oh, tough on crime, no. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
no, we can't have him. It's
or soft on crime. It can go either way, right? You could say you are a conservative / liberal activist, and then that would nail it shut right there.
I wanted to put right wing this time, but
yeah,
because I wanted to be completely into. No, I thought they might look at it and go, okay, now he's trying to get out.
Well, and also this is Texas, and with and the fact that they even have any winter precipitation in the forecast this early, we're on Tuesday, means that first of all there will be no groceries in any of the stores by Wednesday midday. Number two, everything will be canceled for 2 weeks starting Wednesday. No, we kind of have a tendency to overdo it sometimes. You can't be too careful. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You don't need 9 loaves of bread for 3 days. Put it back. Put the Wonder Bread back. And the cookies. Okay, you can keep the cookies. That's fine. But put the bread back. It's January, and this is basically it. Usually when we get it, okay, if we don't get it by like a month from now, usually, all right, that's when it starts warming up toward the end of February.
Yeah.
And we kind of get past it historically. But, here we are in, what will be the third week of January.
And don't worry, I'm all set to right now, my pool is shut down. I drained everything because this past weekend it got down low. And think about this. Why do I do this? Because a lot of people, I was on one of the pool Facebook pages the other day.
Right.
And it was some guy from Dallas saying, what should I do? Should I keep my pool running? Oh, yeah, let it run. It's got the automatic freeze.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, he must have not been here during Freezola. I empty all the equipment above ground.
Right.
And so it all drains down.
Which is interesting because I emptied my above ground pool earlier. It won't freeze. It's only
oh my gosh, it's above ground pool.
It's only 7 inches deep. It has a little mermaid on the bottom of it. But
little plastic.
I thought I'm not going to risk it.
Fill it with a hose and
somebody could get hurt.
And so it's like, and the reason is people go, well, why do you do it? It's like, because I can't trust the grid.
Mm-hmm.
When it gets down, to, they say it could get down to, anywhere between 12 and 15 degrees on, was it Friday night going into Saturday? Or is that
Saturday night? Yeah.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't trust the grid. I got burned during Freezola in February 21. And the interesting thing is my, the cost of the damage, because I kept it run. I did for the first 14 years of my house. It got cold. I remember one time it got cold. It was like down 15 degrees 3 days in a row. My pool just ran the whole time. I'm like, that's the way to do it.
Right.
Never thought, what if the power goes out? And the power goes out, $4,500 worth of damage. Take a guess what my deductible was. $4,500.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, is the pool guy, is the pool repair guy and the insurance guy, are they in cahoots? And remember, it was almost 3 months because, remember, everybody got hit. And so you had, 1 million pools in Texas that all had damage. There weren't enough parts in the United States for about 3 to 4 months for everybody to get the parts they needed to fix their pool. My pool never went green, but it started, I couldn't filter it enough, and you got all the, it got, cloudy and all that. Never went green, but I had chlorine in it. But I had sump pumps in there trying to move the water, and I'm like, I'm not going through it again. So my pool tomorrow afternoon, I will turn on again and run it for 2.5 days and, make sure it's filtered. And then I'll shut it down probably Thursday afternoon. Just drain. You take a few plugs out and you drain it.
Yeah,
that's all you do. It just drains, and you open up. You just make sure everything is open. You drain all the water, and then there's not enough to do any damage to the valves or crack anything.
Yeah,
because below ground, my pool's not going to freeze. It's going to be fine.
Right,
going down to 15. But last time my pool froze. When it got down to -3 degrees below zero.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
After the photos of that big mishap there in Michigan on 196, oh, my gosh.
Oh.
It just looked like apocalyptic type stuff, and they're Michigan. They can usually handle it. But you're talking about Wind, very high wind gusts. When it's cold, 25 to 40 miles an hour is pretty high. But you look at the shutdown, the flyover. They did a drone flyover of this. I don't know how many vehicles. It was 100, more than 100 in this pileup. It just looks, again, post-apocalyptic, because everything's scattered, and you just had
yeah, they're getting hit up near the Great Lakes, especially snow belts.
Yeah.
It's getting hit where my dad is. They're getting pounded, and they expect another 1 to 2 feet by Wednesday.
And then Monday evening in our area, they're saying, well, we have to look at the possibility this weekend of if there's enough ice on the road and the timing is right. And again, it all depends. There could be cobblestone ice, which we don't handle very well. We don't handle any kind of ice. We can't get a large cup of ice from Sonic and be responsible with it in North Texas. We just don't handle ice very well. And it's just, and then here's another thing, is that this has a tendency, there is potential here that we could attract the attention of Don Lemon when there's ice in Texas.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So we don't want that to happen.
But the reason we get the cobblestone ice is because we don't use salt.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple.
Yeah. Well, and also
the
level of ice as it builds up, that cobblestone, just the travel on that is, we've had it, I don't know, several times since I've lived here.
Oh, yeah.
The worst time was about 13 years ago.
I remember driving when we were in the ABC studios.
Yeah.
Driving to it was horrible.
Right.
It was 10 miles an hour all the way to work.
Right.
Yeah, but if you have salt, you salt it every day. You don't have that.
Right. Yeah, as long as it's not like a massive, massive storm. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never experienced cobblestone ice when I lived up north, ever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Once.
Yeah.
That's really, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I went, that sounds nice. Cobblestone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a cobblestone district in many different cities, and
right. It's where I buy
cobblestone
ice
districts
cream.
are really nice.
In the mall.
And I like
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what it is.
Cosmopolitan cobblestone.
Right.
But, yeah, so...
Cold Stone Creamery, which was my wrestling name when I was in professional wrestling.
We don't like, you Yankees keep... Me calling somebody a Yankee. You Yankees keep that stuff up north.
That's right. And your Buffalo Bills, keep them up north, too, where they belong.
Shut up.
Apparently, they're going to be staying there.
Shit.
Coach will be leaving.
But getting back to the whole Minnesota thing and the church and Don Lemon. Don Lemon, I think, is the first of now national liberals going in there, and now changing everything. The whole thing of the Minnesota lawsuit. We talked a little bit about this last week, but the Minnesota lawsuit basically says the federal government has no business being anywhere in Minnesota.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
No, that's their fight now.
Right. That law enforcement, that communities should be run by the states.
Right.
All of a sudden, liberals have found an exaggerated form, a delusional form of federalism.
Yes.
The federal government has no business being in here for anything at all.
Right.
Now, give us your money so we can commit fraud with it.
Right.
But everything else keep out of.
We keep the $9 billion. Right. You keep your agents.
We wish to pick and choose when the federal government has authority here in our in our state.
Right.
I mean, it has no chance of going anywhere. It's so bizarre.
No.
I mean, every legal expert I've seen look at it and go, well, no, you really can't make that. Even on CNN, they're like, well, no, they have no case here.
Well, this is to legal cases and the Constitution as Martin Sheen getting arrested is to being a criminal. You know what I mean? It's when he would go to the protests and, it's like, Martin Sheen gets arrested for the 129th time. It's
no
like,
nukes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, but he's not that kind of criminal. And this is the kind of case you throw at the court. We're going to fight it. Yeah, you have no idea what you're doing. It's going nowhere. They're not even going to use They're not even going to use handcuffs on Martin Sheen, so just shut up. It's not even a discussion worthy. My thought is, by the time it gets to the court, it's like, you guys you have no idea, do you? You have no idea how any of this works. I saw where the Trump administration is saying, okay, well, then maybe some federal funding needs to be frozen. Maybe we need to hold on to that federal funding, which is the argument you make on social media, based on, states saying, well, you don't have jurisdiction. I'm sorry, did you secede? Did we miss that part?
Yeah.
Are you no longer part of the United States? Because United States federal agents' jurisdiction is the United States. So unless you're no longer part of the United States, they have authority in your state and in your town, full stop.
Well, there's ignorance, complete, it's either willful ignorance or legitimate ignorance, or it's just their philosophy. And we've talked about this before. The left does not want to be a part of the United States. They don't believe in the United States.
Right.
It's like Don Lemon. Well, my Christianity, and then it's the left. Well, my America. Well, it's not. It's not my America to define America how I wish to define America,
right.
which meets my own perverted personal. I'm not talking about my values,
right.
but my personal perverted values as they think. It's America should be what I wish it to be,
right.
And if it's
exactly.
not, then it's not America.
Right.
What?
By the way, I'm
What?
really curious how many liberal Americans moved to Greenland last year after Trump won again. I'd like to know that number and what they're thinking now.
We are. I don't think many would move to Greenland.
I'd love to know the number, because if it's just one, I'm still going to laugh.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Extreme cold weather has felt in several parts of the country. Unfortunately, in some cases, felt that way indoors due to power outages. With a refrigerator and or freezer without power, Meredith Crothers of USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service says some people
try to store food outside, use the outside temperature as almost like they're nature's refrigerator.
And while possible this can be done safely,
we really try and encourage not to use outside as an option for storage of food
due to unpredictability of storage conditions. Variables such as sunlight creating inconsistent and perhaps unsafe temperatures to store food, plus threat of animals and potential bacteria contaminating food items. Carruthers says one thing helpful in saving your food in the middle of a power outage, a general knowledge of how appliances and power outages work. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Let me just read a couple of sentences here, Eric. This is from Washington Examiner. In resistance world, there is growing anger at ICE, not just for its law enforcement operations targeting people in the country illegally, but its refusal to go away. In Minneapolis, for example, the subtext of the anger seems to be, we're tracking you, we're blowing whistles, we're blocking you with our cars, we're getting into shoving matches with you. Some of us are doing more than that, and yet you won't go away. What is it you don't understand? We don't want you here. Go. It's a weird attitude towards federal law enforcement, the notion that if people in some neighborhoods don't like the law, then it should not be enforced in those areas. But that is a reality in Minnesota these days. A similar sense of indignation. How dare they enforce the law? Courses through the lawsuit Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison filed this week against top ICE and DHS officials. The suit, which goes on for 80 pages, begins with the long complaints about ICE's mobilization in Minneapolis. It is a federal invasion of the Twin City, the suit reads. driven by nothing more than the Trump administration's desire to punish political opponents and score partisan points. ICE's actions appear designated to provoke community outrage, sow fear, and inflict emotional distress, and so on. The lawsuit argues the 10th Amendment gives the state of Minnesota and its subdivisions sovereign authority to protect the health and well-being of those who reside, work, and visit within their borders. A number of analysts have called this a novel argument. Minnesota is basically asking the judge to use the 10th Amendment to bar a federal law enforcement agency from enforcing federal law in their city and state.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Just to finish what I was reading here in the Washington Examiner, which looks at the state of Minnesota and the lawsuit, which basically says, no, the Minnesota is basically asking a judge to use the 10th Amendment to bar federal law enforcement body ICE from enforcing federal immigration law in a city and state. It seems like a crazy argument, and it is.
It is.
What they're asking is that the federal government cannot use their law enforcement authority in their city, said the CBS legal analyst Joe Tamburino. It would be like asking the federal court to bar the FBI, the ATF, the U.S. Marshals Service, and the Secret Service. When asked whether there is a legal precedent to that, the CNN legal analyst answered, none. There is no example of a judge prohibiting a federal law enforcement agent from enforcing federal law in a given state. The reaction that we've heard from various Minnesota officials, including Attorney General Keith Ellison, when confronted with this lack of precedent and the lack of case law, is essentially, well, this is real bad, though. Well, this is an invasion. There's plenty of dramatic language in the complaint, but that does not change the legal calculus. You just cannot take a situation that has no legal precedent and no legal support and say, well, yes, but our situation is really, really bad. Therefore, we get to invent new law.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Last Wednesday, a federal judge declined Minnesota's request to issue a temporary restraining order against ICE. Next week, each side will have to make more detailed arguments, but don't look for this to go very far.
Yeah. It's not.
But when you the other thing is when
by the way, I'm glad it is happening.
Oh, so am I.
I am glad that it's that the liberal left is putting their own backside on display, a.k.a. showing their asses once again, because their heads are straight up them. That's where we are on the liberal left today. And every time they do something stupid like this, we get to say, especially when it goes to the courts, we get to see it. And my question would be, how many liberal legal analysts look at this and go, oh, man, we're not going to win this at all. There's the argument out there over the weekend on social media. Who's trying to lose the election bigger? Yeah.
Trump in November. Trump or the left in
Minnesota?
Left through what's going on in Minnesota.
It's right now. Here are the two battlegrounds: Minnesota and Greenland.
But I'm reading this headline here. Minnesota transgender state representative calls on anti-ICE protesters to storm more churches.
Yeah.
And I was laughing because when I thought of and we had played some of the Don Lemon cuts earlier where he talked about freedom of speech. Well, you don't have a freedom of speech on someone else's property. You don't have freedom of speech inside somebody's church. You
Right.
cannot storm into a church, take over a church service, and claim that those are your First Amendment rights. The fact that Don Lemon doesn't know that may even be greater than the fact that he doesn't know the power of a black hole.
Right.
When he brought that up about the back on his CNN show,
Right.
About the Malaysian airliner disappearing over the Indian Ocean, when he asked the question to the airline accident experts, could it have been a black hole that sucked in the plane?
Yeah.
No, you idiot, because if there was a black hole, it would suck in the entire solar system and more.
We wouldn't be here to talk about it, Don.
Right, you idiot. And he was just, this might have been even worse. It's my First Amendment right than Chris Cuomo. Remember that? First Amendment doesn't protect hate speech.
Right.
Yes, it does.
Oh, man, he spent 13 hours on social media trying to back out of that one.
Remember that one?
He was just getting crushed.
What a minute.
Yeah.
But
I'm smart, not like everybody says.
But the whole thing here, he brings up white supremacy. So now they're going after churches and saying churches are, are a bastion of white supremacy. So now it's become immigration, racism, and watch magically how somehow the radical transgender movement is going to be all a part of it once you get other people coming in. I think it was Jim Garrity who said, this thing's only going to escalate. It's not going to, because Trump's not going to back down on ICE.
Right.
And so it's only going to get worse from this point on.
Yeah.
And now you saw both Fry and Waltz trying to back off. No, don't get involved in this after egging it on all the time.
Right.
And you still have that Minnesota state representative. There's still politicians inside of Minnesota saying, no, go in now, storm the churches.
Right.
Just so the left knows, in history, storming the churches, and Eric, you hit part of this earlier, storming the churches and claiming that you have a higher moral authority to do so ain't gonna work.
Yeah. That's not going to work for you at all. But again, here's the radical left on full display. On full display. It's the epitome of where the left is. Again, storming into a church claiming moral high ground. What?
I know.
Yeah, just bizarre. Don Lemon barging into a church claiming moral high ground.
Because it
now
doesn't,
we're going to pass the plate around for donations.
well, because it doesn't represent his view of Christianity.
Right. And he didn't expand on what that is. I will say, to be intellectually honest, Don Lemon went to church over the weekend more than I did. Qualified it with over the weekend to make it clear for both cases. Just being intellectually honest.
Speaking of the radical transgender movement now trying to get involved in everything in Minneapolis, did you see the Axios story? Democrats' potential 2028 contenders cautious on trans rights. Cautious.
Yeah.
Nobody will answer the question. Did you see did we play it? Yeah, we played it. We played it last week. Ben Shapiro with Newsom.
Yeah.
Ask him about ask him about it. He couldn't answer. He couldn't answer the question.
Right.
And what they say is, what was it? 20 different people. 20, I think it was like 20. Axios quiz nearly 20 Democrats viewed as possible 2028 contenders. Nobody would give an answer on it except Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel said he was against it, but none of them would denounce and say that men should not be playing women's sports,
Right.
and that can men be women. Nobody will touch it.
No.
This is why we're not exaggerating when we say this is 99% of the Democratic Party.
Well, and we use those numbers too because of the votes on Capitol Hill.
Right.
And again, show us the faction, I don't know. Is there any group at all within the party that is saying this is the wrong direction? And Rahm Emanuel doesn't count because, right now he's just talking. He's part of the old school.
And this is Axios doing the story,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
not like a conservative publication. It goes,
Right.
Last week, Governor
That's
Gavin.
why it matters. Yeah.
Last week, Governor Gavin Newsom stumbled when Ben Shapiro pressed him on the topic on Newsom's podcast. The question that you're not wanting to answer is whether boys can become girls, Shapiro said. Yeah, I think for the grace of God, Newsom replied. Then he paused. The uncomfortable moment for Newsom, a longtime advocate for LGBTQ rights, came 10 months after he was criticized by LGBTQ advocates for saying it was unfair for transgender girls and women to compete in female sports. That Newsom, this is from, again, Axios, and it's important because they're even looking at it.
Right.
That Newsom looked unprepared for a Republican gotcha question last week, made some Democrats wince.
Well,
you need a clear answer, whatever it is. Liam Kerr, co-founder of the centrist Welcome Pack, told Axios. Axios quizzed nearly 20 Democrats viewed as possible 2028 contenders. Most did not want to talk about trans rights.
Well, what best constitutes, though, a clear answer? Conviction.
Yeah.
Until you have conviction, one way or the other. Because he doesn't believe it. Otherwise, he would say, you're damn right they belong on those teams. He doesn't believe that. The pause, the hesitation, the fact that he's not prepared isn't any surprise because he doesn't have a backbone. He stands for nothing. He doesn't have conviction. If you're on the left, I don't know why Newsom would even be a consideration. Because the left right now, again, is led by the radicals who do say it's their position. Their answer is, well, that's not a man, that's a woman. And then they refuse to define a woman and then tell you that you're a bigot for bringing it up.
Right.
But Newsom didn't do that.
We're not going to explain to you why you're a bigot.
Right.
Huh? We're not going to explain. We can't explain our opinion on this, but if you don't agree with the opinion that we can't explain, then you're a bigot and a horrible person.
Right. Well, and there's the problem. Is that, in the blue bubble, you can go out with your bobblehead and your Gavin with the good hair. Michael Rappaport calls him. And you can win California. You can win that in your blue bubble. You start talking on the national stage, and, well, another governor, the current governor of Florida, can put you in your place, and it won't go well. You can't do it with your own party. You won't be able to do it in the primary because that answer or non-answer is not acceptable. You'll be done if you get on a stage in 28 in the primary season and say, nope. You better bring your torch. You better lead the charge, and you better be more radical than everybody else on that stage, or you're not the guy.
Did you see Michael Rappaport said he might run for mayor? Was it mayor of New York City or governor of New York? I think it was mayor.
Yeah,
it was mayor.
Yeah,
it was mayor.
I was going to
Mayor
say
because
I think
that was last week. I forgot to talk. So many news items. That one, when you just mentioned his name, I went, "Oh, it popped in my head."
Yeah, I think it came up on a rant about a year ago too. That he was like, people are telling me you should run, you should run, you should run, and and then he kind of went off on a rant, and so it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know what that looks like now. The children wouldn't be able to watch the debates. There's that. They'd have to be on streaming. But they'd be fun to watch.
There's political debate, rated X.
Exactly.
Oh, my gosh, that's funny. We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, the interesting thing you saw that the Attorney General of Minnesota was saying that the FACE law only applies to reproductive, abortion centers, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like you read the context of the law. It's like there's a part of the law that's specific to churches.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely specific
Right.
to churches.
Exactly.
It's just like I can't. And this is why I believe this thing's going to expand. I agree with Jim Garrity. I don't see this thing dying out.
No,
and
no.
I think what you're going to see, you've got again now it's white supremacy.
Yeah.
And I think the radical transgender movement's going to get involved in it. I think you get the national people coming into Minneapolis, it becomes a hodgepodge of the insanity of the left is what you're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, they want this to overshadow any of the fraud stories out of Minnesota. They want this to overshadow everything else that's working against them.
It won't.
They believe they're winning here. They they really do leapfrog onto everything as if the next thing is, oh, we finally got it. We finally got it. Remember, they were doing that with Trump. Oh, we got him. We finally got him. We finally got him. We finally got him. And they're doing that with issues now as if they're going to win, and they won't.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.